Last week, I audited 2 sales calls for a $200,000 a month lead gen agency and found 4 mistakes that are 100% costing them money every single month. And the reason I know that with such confidence is because I've personally taken over 1,000 high ticket sales calls, collected close to $2 million in cash during that time, and I have made every single one of these mistakes and more along the way. And the thing is, they are not obvious mistakes. They're the kind of things that slip under your radar. You'll finish a call thinking it went fine and then be like, why did that deal not close? And the reason I'm making this video specifically is because these are the same 4 mistakes that I see on almost every single sales call that I review, which means there's a very good chance I will bet money that you're making at least 2, probably 3, and honestly, probably all 4 of them as well. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through all 4 so you know exactly what to stop doing so you can start closing more deals almost immediately. And if you like what you hear and personally want me to review one of your sales calls, just like I did for these guys, I'll do it for free. You've got to book a call with me, link in the description, but we'll come on to that later. So mistake number 1 is mentioning the price, especially during the pitch. Now, there's a caveat here. You may have the price in your funnel. If that is true, we still want to kind of keep price out of the conversation until the crucial moment. But say they don't know what the price is yet. Say that you're offering lead gen marketing services, which means that it's not determined, before the call what you're going to charge because they may have different spend, different requirements, and your price is going to flex based on that. We do not want to mention price until we've had a real good conversation about the service itself because it's going to detract the conversation away from the service itself, right? Because if you give them the price, they now have everything they need to make a decision. So say if you tell them about the service, they know what the price is, they're like, cool. They want to wrap the call up. Unless they want to get started right now, which is, there are those people. They're probably like, no worries, I've got everything I need, time to go. And that really kind of disengages, you both from the conversation and from moving it towards a sale because from the second you drop the price, now we're just fighting like objections, right? The heat is on. And it really does kill any kind of honest conversation that you can have with the prospect about the service without it feeling like you're trying to close them. Whereas if you haven't told them the price yet, and this is what I'm going to cover in the solution now, you tell them about the service first, you then go into their thoughts about the service specifically second, and then you drop the price. It means that any kind of objection handling you do pre-price actually doesn't feel like objection handling. It's more like coming over obstacles, right? You're like, oh, what do you think about the service? And they say, oh, I've got some thoughts. You explain those, whatever it is that they're thinking about to them, help them get a bit more clarity, reassure them a bit, whatever. And they're like, oh, great, I feel so much better now. And you're like, awesome. Now you give them the price and it's like, brilliant. And you can just get started. Or at least it makes it easier to close the deal. So yeah, you want to get them sold on the service before they know the cost, ideally. And the way to do that is obviously do a great discovery, pitch them, make the pitch personalized, which we're going to come on to in a minute. Answer any questions they have about the service specifically, and only then do we want to deliver the price. Now, they may not be 100% sold at this point, but at the very least, they'll be more sold than they otherwise would have been if you'd just given them the price. And if they're not very sold when you give them the price, and then they want to go and you're trying to keep them on the call so you can close them, it's just going to make it harder for you to close because there's pressure on them and you to close, right? So yeah, we want to get them sold on the service first, and then we really find out what they think before money is on the table in the discussion, right? The price is going to land completely differently when they're already bought in. Mistake number 2, giving a generic pitch. This one kills me, right? If you give the same pitch regardless of what the prospect said in the discovery, you are killing your sales, right? Why would you do that? Doesn't make any sense. What is the point of the discovery if not to use it in the pitch, after the pitch, in the objection handling phase? These 2 sales calls that I reviewed, the closer, the sales rep, asked loads of questions in the discovery and then didn't even mention any of it post-discovery. So the pitch, after the pitch, didn't reference anything, not once. That's a big, big problem, right? The discovery information, it never came back up. And you might be doing this as well, or you might not be mentioning it nearly enough. The prospect's not going to feel understood if you do that, and they're not going to feel like you're speaking to them specifically. They're just thinking, this is just another marketing agency owner who's trying to pitch me a service. I've been burned in the past. I've heard it all before. Like, they have, right? Whoever you're selling to probably has been burned by marketing agencies before. If you're a lead gen marketing agency and you're selling to people in your niche who've also worked with those, like, they've been burned, right? So we need to make sure that they feel like you really mean it when you're pitching them. And you should mean it. And the way you can mean it is by really listening and then leveraging that information in a good way during the pitch, right? And after the pitch as well. And yeah, you just don't want it to feel like a presentation. You kind of don't want it to feel like a conversation either, but you at least want to feel like it's personalized. So the solution to this is everything they tell you in the discovery is ammunition. And I mean this in the best possible way, right? And you want to build the pitch around their specific situation every single time. Your pitch can have the same kind of bones, right? But the actual meat of the pitch, we want to switch it up, right? We want to make it, we want to adapt it, right? We want to make it specific to the prospect. There are things that you're going to want to tell them in the discovery. They'll be telling you stuff and you're thinking, this person's such a good fit. You need to shut the fuck up and just carry on with the discovery. And then when it's the pitch, now you drop those things on them. Now you drop those reasons why they're such a good fit on them, right? And reference back like what they said to you, right? And it should really feel like the pitch is personalized and made for them specifically. So yeah, that's mistake number 2's solution. Mistake number 3, losing control of the call, or even worse, giving control of the call away. So just like I said then, if you're in the discovery and they're telling you something and then you're like, you have the urge to tell them, oh yeah, well, actually we can 100% help you with that because we do X, Y, Z, and you drop a fact on them, right? You share a piece of information. They're going to be like, oh, cool. And then they're going to want to ask you a question. And then now you've just given them control of the call. And then if they have control of the call, it means that, that's just a bad thing. If you're in sales, you don't want to give them control of the call. You need to maintain control of the call so you can guide the call where it needs to go, which is the close, or to disqualify them, right? You don't have to close everybody. So anyway, do not detract from the line of questioning or your call structure throughout the entire call. If they ever try and take control back from you, you need to kind of bring it back to yourself. You need to diffuse whatever they just said, acknowledge it, cool, ask them a question, now you're back in the driver's seat. And usually you can tell when you've lost control when they're asking the questions. It's super annoying. The thing is, when they start asking you questions or going on tangents, you're eating into the time that you need to close that person, right? That is a problem because there's no time limit on a sales call necessarily, unless they literally have something after or you do. But we can assume that for every second you spend on a sales call, it gets the pressure builds. It's like you're putting water on a stove, right? You put the heat on. At first it's cold, slowly but surely it's going to heat up. A few bubbles are going to start coming out. Eventually it's going to be going crazy and steam's going to be coming out, whatever. And we want to get to the point, before boiling point in the conversation, let's say, we want to get to the close, because otherwise it's just like literally just being on the call for too long can create enough resistance with someone who otherwise would have bought to get rid of them, right? And yeah, like sometimes you just never recover that control after you've lost it as well. And then you just end up going on these tangents and it's taking ages and whatever. So the mistake solution for number 3 is to have the script in front of you on every call. You want to know exactly what's in front of you, what questions you're asking, and not detract from them. It's like ask a question, get an answer, ask a question, get an answer, ask a question, get an answer. If they try and detract from your line of questioning, deal with that quickly and then go back to the questions. Ask one question at a time verbatim. Even if you feel a little bit robotic, you'll find that you will just get better answers doing this, and the prospect's not going to go, hey, you're asking questions a little bit weird. Are you reading from a script? Like, they have no idea. If you just ask the question like off the screen, no one's going to tell. And yeah, like I said, when they go off track, let them finish. If necessary, then return to the next question. If they really go off track and won't shut up, just be like, oh, I just remembered, sorry, before I forget, and now ask your next question. It's a pretty good one, right? So yeah, you ask the questions, they get the answers. Mistake number 4, soft closing. I hate soft closing, right? And I'm not saying that what we want to do is hard close here, but I'll come to it. Now, you don't want to give them like a compelling reason to buy. Like, hey, by the way, we've got a guarantee. And then you're like, but no pressure, you don't need to get started now, right? Because then they're going to be like, it's like, are we trying to close the deal here or not? You don't want to have like one foot in, 1 foot out. It's like, you need to decide on what outcome you're trying to get out of the call now. Is it a close? Is it a follow-up call? Is it like whatever it is? And then commit to that 100%. The calls that I was reviewing last week, there was a time where the guy was like, oh, I'm going to need to go away, I'm running out of time, whatever. But yeah, this is all very interesting. And the sales guy was like, oh yeah, by the way, we've got a guarantee. It's like, cool. The guy never even asked about the guarantee. He hadn't expressed that he was concerned about whether or not he'd get results or not. And the guarantee is a really powerful tool to deploy in the right moment, in a sales call. But this was not the right moment, and he just kind of like played one of his best cards, and it just went to waste. So yeah, and like refund policy is the same thing. You don't want to deploy these things as kind of like afterthoughts. You want to have all these compelling reasons to work with you, kind of like in the locker, like in your hand, right? And you don't want to play your card until the perfect time to play the card. It's like only when they say like, if you like, do you want to get started? They tell you they need to think about it, and then you dive into the detail on why they need to think about it. You find out that they're a little bit concerned about like, you know, whether or not they'll get results. You explain how you do things a little bit differently and how you make sure your clients get results. That gives them a bit more reassurance, but they still want to go away and think about it. And then you're like, oh, by the way, have I even told you about our guarantee? And they're like, oh no. And then you tell them about the guarantee and they're like, whoa, didn't realize that. And you're like, yeah, exactly. So do you want to get started? And they're like, absolutely. It's completely different. I'm jumping ahead here, but you get the idea, right? If the call's ending with no clear outcome, like if it's not like you tried to, like it should be really clear. Did you try and close it? Did you try and book a follow-up call? Did you try, like what was the actual objective at the end of the call? And if it's not clear, then you've done a bad job, right? Anyway, so the solution: decide the outcome before the call starts. If it's a discovery call, you're gonna have a pretty clear idea of like, right, this is my shot at closing this deal. The chances of someone closing after the discovery call in a lot of like lead gen agencies is kind of low. The follow-up, people fuck around with follow-ups. We really want to one-call close people, and there's no reason we shouldn't if we're speaking to the right person. That being said, though, if you get to the point like where you're at the end of the call where it's clear that it's not going to be a one-call close, you need to commit to a new outcome now. I'm committed to getting a follow-up call booked in the calendar. Forget the close. Close is out the window. Diffuse the pressure on that completely. Let's just get the follow-up call booked. You don't want to be like kind of here or there, like, are we booking a follow-up? It's just not good. So yeah, when you do get to the end and you do think it's time to close, commit to that as well. Deploy your best tools at the right moment with conviction. If you just say to them like, whenever you're ready, we'll be here. That's not a close. Like, it's just not. And they're going to pay your competitors to do the service instead. And your competitors might be worse, and you might hate that because you're better and they're making more money than you. And that sucks. Anyway, all that being said, the next steps, I would say just go and listen to your sales calls and you'll notice these mistakes, literally. Like, you could even take these mistakes and just put them into ChatGPT and say, hey, like, am I making these mistakes in my sales calls? Put one of your transcripts in and it'll tell you. And then fix them. And you or your sales team, whoever's taking the calls right now, will close more deals almost immediately. And if you want me to review one of your calls or even more, personally, one-on-one, I will hop on a call with you free of charge and do it exactly for you. I will listen to a sales call on the call. You can give me a transcript on the call and I will go and listen to it and make notes on it and send it back to you. Transparently, I want you to work with me and I want to show you what a great job I'll do. And if you see that I am fucking tearing down your sales calls and there are clearly so many obvious mistakes that you're making that I can see that you haven't been able to see, and there's a good chance I'm gonna be able to help you make more money. So, hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one.